Hello and welcome to my training Zoom room. I would like to show you today how to use the filters and the expand and collapse options that come in with the pivot table. I'm in my sales data. I'm going to insert a pivot table. Okay. And in my pivot table field list, whether it's attached to the side or floating, I'm going to set this up to put my quarter, item, size, color, and number sold. So quarter and item in the rows, size and color in the columns, and the number sold is my values, and it sums it for me. So this is my beautiful data set. And I want to point out these little tiny plus minus signs. They're all minus signs right now, but let's zoom in a little. If I take my mouse and I get it in just the right spot, so it's a little white pointing arrow, I can collapse these down, and then they become plus signs. All right, they're called collapse and expand buttons. And we do have the option to do the entire field. So I'm currently on the quarter. So in my Analyze tab in the ribbon, I can see that my active field is currently quarter. And from quarter, I can expand all of it or collapse all of it if we wanted to. Maybe when I'm doing my final presentation, it's nice to collapse it down and see it shrink on a chart, which is a neat thing. But most of the time, these are actually just one more thing for me to accidentally click on. Now I do have them over here as well. Right, and I can collapse and expand all of those options. I'm not actually going to turn them off so that they don't get in my way. So on my pivot table tools on the Analyze tab, all the way at the end, next to the field list button, are my plus minus, my show hide buttons. And when I click on it, they disappear because they do print. And so I like them just to, this is so busy already because there's so much data wrapped into one. I usually turn mine off. It's a personal choice. You can decide for yourself. I'm coming back to first quarter so that my active field is quarter. And really, I could have clicked on any one of my quarters. Here from the drop-down list where it says row labels, I can come in and turn off my third and fourth quarter so that my table shows me just the first two quarters. I'm going to come in and try to remove my socks. Oh, it's aren't here. Well, my active field is quarter. Let me cancel. I'm going to come down to one of the items, it doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to come up. Now that my active field is item, when I come in here, I can take off my socks and say, okay, let's remove the small blue items. I'm coming over to my columns, and even though I'm still on my item, because these are dealing with the columns, the list shows me the top level, and I can remove the small and say, okay. Now let's get rid of the blue. When I open it up, again, my active field is item. So I could click on one of the colors and come back, but I want you to see here at the top of this menu, there is actually a select field. And I can change this to be color, and it changes my options down here. I'm going to remove the blue and say, okay. If I wanted to, I can rename these words that say row label, column label. I can say quarter item and size, color, and that works just fine. I'm going to show you a different way to filter and one that I like better. Let's come back up to the Analyze tab, and I'm going to clear. You find the pink eraser. If your window's squished, look in the action group. I want to clear the filters only, so it brings back all of my data. I don't know if you noticed it. When we were filtering, little filter showed up over here. So whether I want to use these filter buttons or not, I do actually have the filter option here in my pivot table field pane or floating window. So I'm going to just come over here and remove third and fourth quarter. So I'm hovering over the quarter. Once I do, I see the filter arrow. And when I click on it, I can remove third and fourth and say, okay. I can come down to item and take off my socks. I can come to size and remove the small. I can come to color and remove the blue. I personally find it much easier to filter from that pane. And again, because these get so crowded, I will often turn off the field headers and just leave the titles out. If it's important to you to have the titles, I would keep them there. In this case, I would probably remove them. Let's clear and clear all, because that's not just going to clear the filters, it's going to clear all the data for me too. And notice all the little funnels have disappeared, so there's no more filters. I want to look at my items by size, all right, for the total sold. So I'm clicking the item, clicking size, and I'm clicking my number sold. Since this is such a small data set, I think I'm going to move one of my titles over. So I'm bringing size into my columns, and I'm going to let go. Okay, I only want to look at first quarter. So I could add quarter down here and then play with the filter, or remember the filter group here in my pivot table list allows me to be able to change it from up here. First quarter, okay. Second quarter, okay. Now, this little guy here is really meant to choose just one item at a time, but it does give me the option to select multiple items. When I choose this, it changes my list into checkboxes. And if I make this first quarter and second quarter, when I click OK, oh, it says multiple items, which tells me nothing, right? I don't know what quarters I'm looking at here at all. So I want you to think of this little top filter here at the beginning, whether we're doing it from this side or not. The filter is meant to just choose one item. So I'm going to clear my filter for quarter. So one employee, one fund code, one patient, one clinic, one something, when we're only dealing with one of them. And I could do multiple. I could say one quarter and one color, right? So I could do multiple things, but we only want to have it up there one time. If I want more than one, what you really should do is make it part of the table. So I'm going to move quarter under my items so that I have nothing in my filter, row item, row quarter, column size, sum of the numbers sold. And now, since I turned off my headers from here, I'm going to do it from my pane. Here where the quarter is, I'm now going to remove my third and fourth and say OK. So I can clearly see my first quarter, second quarter broken out by my size. Because I've been doing this for a while, I know this is actually going to look better going across the time. So I'm going to swap my quarter and size. Just bring size down into the rows, quarters into the column, and here are my items by size for the first and second quarter. I get a grand total showing me for the first half of the fiscal year, as well as my data breakout. And this is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted.